The Alabama basketball team just got some majorly bad news, it seems like.
Are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today? I'm asking you.
Well, I know it was kind of a rough morning with waking up to the Bediako news. I was sleeping soundly when the world was informed. I think this is a blow because I don't see how at this juncture you replace that. You can find a body. You can find somebody who might actually be a decent player, but you're not going to find Charles Bediako between now and the start of the season. So that's a blow. And I chalk it up to the current system, which it can be really unfair based on when the deadlines are in terms of when do you declare for the draft, when do you test the waters, when do you have to stay in the draft, open and close. All of those things need to act in concert, but they don't. And that's why Alabama finds themselves in this situation where Bediako makes a late decision. And frankly, he could have gone a whole nother week. I mean, I think the decision goes all the way up to May 31st. He could have taken another week, and he didn't. But the point is,
it's not official, right?
Well, it's not official, but I think if it was wrong, we'd have already heard by now.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose
ESPN reported he's staying in the draft. Now,
it said ESPN actually said per report he's staying in the draft. I just saw that. So I mean, it's like it's not 100% done deal. I am completely wishful thinking here because, frankly, the only person that fouls out quicker than Charles Bediako is Nick Pringle, and now that's the only guy we got left at the 5.
Right. At the 5, and even at the 4, things are thin, and I don't mean that just as a pun about Sam Walters. I mean, I only count 3 guys capable of what you would be calling interior players: Diabate from the freshman from the Northeast, Walters, and Pringle, and that's it. And sometimes, you want 2 of those 3 on the floor. Sometimes.
Now, here's what's left. This is a tweet from Mike Rodak. And I love the name Rodak from Space Giants. But anyway, so we have transfer Aaron Estrada. We have transfer Latrell Whitesell Jr. We have freshman Davin Cosby. We have Rylan Grimm, freshman Chris Parker, Mohamed Diabate, a freshman, Sam Walters, a freshman, and Nick Pringle, a senior. That doesn't include Mark Sears and Javon Quinterly. Nick Pringle, the tallest out of that bunch at 6'9". Now, I understand his wingspan is 9'7", but that's okay. Sam Walters at 6'8", and then Diabate at 6'7", and nobody else is over 6'6". That is a small lineup. So I had seen some rumors on message boards I give zero credence to, and I think that was smart. Like Alabama's involved in Tolu Smith from Mississippi State, who looks like he's coming back to Mississippi State. There's always a rumor out there about Kobe Brown, the guy at Missouri who is very, very good. He's turned into a heck of a player. It looks like he will come back to college. He's not even in the portal. I mean, he's just in the draft, to my knowledge. And he's from Georgia.
I think he's a grad. I think he's a graduate. So he is still eligible to enter. All grad transfers are eligible to enter the portal. Sure about Luke, and I hate that I don't know the answer to this. Maybe it's because on the outside I seem calm, but on the inside I'm panicking over this. But I'm not sure that you can have conference to conference transfers. Is the rule different in basketball? I mean, in football, Kobe Brown could not transfer to Alabama at this point. Even as a grad transfer, it would require a waiver being granted by the SEC. I'm not sure what the basketball rule is there, if it's different than football.
I don't know. There's probably some kind of time frame in there that
We will
basketball is
Google
probably
that,
different
and
than football?
we'll have an answer for
Huh?
you guys for the next show, because it'll be the first thing I look up when the show's over.
Because if we can
I'm
get
not
Kobe
sure.
Brown, if Alabama could get Kobe Brown, I'm all over it.
Oh, absolutely. Kobe Brown's a great player. He'd be a great fit in our system. I believe that. He's also, it would be a lot like Mark Sears from a year ago, where Kobe Brown returns to his home state to play out his career. It'd be a great story. Again, the football rule is you can't transfer portal in the late portal to another SEC school. But again, the basketball rule might be different.
Right. And, one other couple of things. First of all, you remember when we scheduled Purdue in Toronto, and I was like, this is so awesome. It's like a homecoming for Charles Bediako. Well, now not only will we not have Charles Bediako, if Zach Edey comes back and his 7'4" gargantuan butt goes out there and he gets to shoot over, Chris Parker at 6'6". I mean, Zach Edey may have 10,006 rebounds in that game if he comes back to school.
Sam Walters is going to have to defend him, I guess.
All right. That's it. Yeah. Not great news for the basketball team. Look, but the thing about with the transfer portal, you don't know what in the world's going to happen between now and then. So there is some talk of some other high schoolers reclassifying. But even if that would happen, if you were to get a reclassified, let's say a guy that's going into his senior year in high school, he reclassifies and he's eligible for Alabama next year, even if he is a 5-star. He's supposed to be a senior in high school, and yet we're going to depend on him at the 5. When we play in the SEC and we play dudes like Zach Edey. I mean that's
one thing for guards, but it's always going to be different with bigs.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you're just not going to be. You just can't be strong enough. I mean, it's just not possible. So it's bad news, and there's no other way to say it. I'm happy for Chuck. I think I speak for everybody when we say, okay, we're all happy for Chuck, because when he first got to Alabama, who would have really thought he would end up being an NBA player? But he is an NBA player apparently, and I hope he ends up winning the first round. I can tell you that.
I feel a little differently about it. I mean, I'm not upset at Charles. I mean, there's no reason for anybody to be upset at Charles. But I mean, the question is this a good decision? I'm a strong proponent of, if you have first round ability, you shouldn't enter the NBA until you're going to be a first round pick, or you give yourself every opportunity to be a first round pick. I worry Charles hasn't done that here. He's just been assured of a roster spot, maybe, which is probably going to end up being a G League situation. And the way I look at it is, he's choosing the G League over further development at Alabama. And if that's what he believes, if that'll make him better and that gives him a better shot at the NBA, then that's his decision. But I don't think basketball players are educated enough in terms of knowing the difference between your chances of success being a first round pick versus your chances of success in any other avenue to the NBA, whether it's a second round pick or as an undrafted free agent. And to me, unless Charles has taken the first round, to me, it's a really bad decision, because I think if he had come back and worked on his game, I think a year from now, maybe he is a first round pick, and then your future is assured. But now he's just, in my mind, created a far more difficult path for himself. That's my opinion. And I've said that about every player. I even said it about J.D. Davison a year ago.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I don't know another way to say it. It's disappointing. All right, Jimmy, I want to tell everybody about Built Bar. If you're like me and you want to make healthier snack choices, but you don't want want to compromise on taste, well, then you need yourself a Built Bar. These things are delicious. They come in flavors like cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie, churro, covered in 100% real chocolate, no fake chocolate, all real chocolate. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Sam's Club. You can get them at Lifetime. You can get them at Amazon. You can get them at probably some other stores that I didn't even mention. That's right. Your nearest Walmart right now, go get you some. You got to go to Walmart anyway. You probably got to pick up a light bulb. You got to go get some other stuff. and just get you some Built Bars. You'll love them. They're delicious. They take the place of some of your meals, or they just complement your meal. They act like a dessert if you want them to, because they're packed with protein. They don't have a ton of calories, not a ton of sugar. They're absolutely perfect for what you want to do. Go get you a Built Bar. That's at built.com or Walmart, Sam's Club, Amazon, Lifetime, all those places. Go get you a Built Bar. Jimmy, on tomorrow's show, we're going to continue your countdown like we're about to do right now on your countdown. And we got 2 players today, and this ought to be fun. 2 wide receivers, and we're going to spin this first set on first one. I don't even know who it is, so I feel like I should have a drum roll here. So go ahead, tell us who it is.
The first one, which is number 73 on the countdown, is Cole Adamas. And again, I accidentally referred to it as a countdown. Really, it's a ranking that's revealed one player at a time. We're not really countdown to anything, just a ranking. Although when the ranking is over, it will be time for fall practice. So suppose it is a countdown. Cole Adamas is who I'm talking about today. And if people remember from early on in the countdown, we went over a bunch of freshmen that I felt would be near what I would call near certain red shirts. That even included really good prospects like Eli Holstein and Quay Rousseau and Yanze Pierre. I have Cole Adamas ranked ahead of those guys. And you may think, wait a minute, now he's really lost his mind. Why does he think Cole is better than these other guys? Well, it's not about that. It's about the 2023 team and who might play and who might not play. I think Cole has a decent chance to play this fall, and not because of the depth chart at wide receiver, which is pretty deep, Luke, but really he's got a good chance to play because he created some buzz for himself. This is one of the buzzier players, and I'm not referring to his cool haircut there. He was one of the buzzier players this spring. The staff was excited about what they saw from Cole Adamas in spring practice. He was injured really late in spring practice and didn't play an A-Day. But before that, Luke, they were really high on Cole. And while the depth chart isn't favorable at all for true freshman receivers to play them, because we have 6 or even 7 returning older wide receivers that are ready to play, that have played, that appear to have all the makings of being good players, there's probably not room for Cole. But I just know he's ranked here because I know the staff is like, wow, this kid is good. He's going to be really good. So buzzy players are getting ranked higher in this ranking, and Cole is exactly that.
Boy, I thought you were going to keep going there, bro. I'm sorry.
I'd run out of Coleism.
Well, I will say this. I'm going to put this picture back up there. Sorry for those who are listening on the podcast, but Cole Adamas there wearing the number 7. He does have a buzz cut. Man, he's got a perfectly round head. I like that.
Well, I think it's the hair, but the weird thing is, to me, the picture I used on Bama Insider is from the Alabama football official photo for the media guide and Alabama media purposes. And he's grown his hair out, and he looks just radically different. You wouldn't think it's the same kid, because the photos are really only about 6 months apart.
As a 50-year-old middle-class white male, maybe this isn't for me to say, but I'm not a fan of the gigantic Bama Boys necklace, jewel encrusted, whatever that is.
It's not my thing, but as I say about recruiting all the time, it doesn't matter that it's not my thing. It's
exactly. They are not recruiting us.
It's their thing. They are smartly not recruiting us. And whatever we do in recruiting, it's like the music at the stadium. The people that complain about the music at the stadium, it's like, oh, well, we need to hear some Beatles, I guess they want, or something. But for Elvis,
that's what would really.
The music has to be appealing to kids that want to play football at Alabama. That's who the music needs to be appealing to them, not you, not me, not Luke, not you.
Yeah, listen. I would like to be the guy. I would like to be a fly on the wall when the guy comes in and says, "Hey, Coach Saban, yes, you have 30 seconds to give me whatever it is you're talking about. And he goes, yeah, Coach Saban, thank you for those 30 seconds. I'm thinking maybe a little less Jay-Z and a little more monkey pregame. How's that? Yeah, I don't think that would work too well. So
Football program would be taking the last train to Clarksville.
I think if a guy came in and did that, I really do think Saban would just start packing his stuff up, and it'd be like that picture of Tony Franklin. Remember when he was fired from Auburn, and he had that big stack of books he was carrying into his car?
Philip Marshall with the great face. Is this really happening in front of me face that Philip Marshall was making? Google that if you haven't seen it.
That was with the great mustache, Van.
That was Brian Van Gorder. Oh, that's right. That was Van Gorder. Dang it. Still, it's worth the reference because that picture is so funny.
It is worth the reference. In fact, I may find the picture here next time when you go on talk about your next wide receiver and put it up, just because it is one of the greatest photos of all time. Jimmy, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the next wide receiver on your list. And we're back. So, Jimmy, I know who this one is because, I had a 50-50 shot first one. So, process of elimination. But I'm going to let you announce it while I look for a Philip Marshall picture.
It's the same token in which, I talked about Cole Adamas, Jalen Hale. The wide receiver room is stacked. Hey, look, Malik Benson's going to play. Ja'Cory Brooks is going to play. Jermaine Burton's going to play. Then you got the trio of sophomores are going to play this fall. Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, Isaiah Bond. They're going to play. Emmanuel Henderson has made a strong case to be in the first team rotation. That's 7. That's enough. It's enough to too many already. There's no room for others. But Cole Adamas created some buzz for himself. Jalen Hale had a buzzy spring, really good at the circus catch. I think that's one thing that's going to make Jalen Hale a fan favorite over the course of his career at Alabama. I think if we have a player that's going to make the crazy top 10 Sports Center plays of the day, you're talking about a Jalen Hale circus who got great speed. I'll tell you, I think a good comp for me with Jalen Hale in terms of what he's going to look like to folks is Ja'Cory Brooks, but faster, a faster Ja'Cory Brooks. He's got his catch radius. He's got his ability to make the contested catch. But what he's got that maybe Brooks doesn't have is really impressive 100-meter track times. Jalen Hale can really run. So Hale had a really solid spring and is sort of forcing himself into the picture to a degree. That's why I'm ranking him here. But there are true freshmen to come in the countdown who have an even better chance to play. So today I would say about both Jalen Hale and Cole Adamas, probably redshirting due to depth at the position, but they did create some instant buzz, and some other even more highly ranked kids didn't. So it's notable, and that's why they're at this spot in the rankings.
One thing that sort of, how did you come to the conclusion of an experience, and maybe that is just it, to rank Jalen Hale and Cole Adamas over, say, Shaz Preston? And I say this with all due respect to Shaz.
Shaz is a little ahead.
Okay, so it's not like a big gap.
Correct. Shaz is coming up by the end of this week. Shaz is very soon. Now they are ahead of Theo Jones-Bell, but we had Tyu Jones-Bell was a few back, so they are ranked ahead of him. And again, I did that based on buzz, and they could play. If they play, they're going to play every week, right? Why play a freshman in 5 games when you can redshirt him if you only play him in 6 games? If you can redshirt him by only playing 4. So I think if Adamas and Hale play, and I'm saying they might, then we're going to see them every week, and we probably won't see a Jones-Bell every week. Frankly, we probably won't see Shaz Preston every week, to be honest.
And it wouldn't. I could see Jalen Hale or Adamas, for that matter, being involved in the return game eventually too.
Yes, I think that's very possible. Although for those that don't know, it appears following spring, the leading candidate for kick returner, and a little bit of a surprise, but I'm excited about it, is Emmanuel Henderson.
No, I dig that. Now,
Yeah.
in fact, if you had told me that Cole Adamas or Jalen Hale were ahead of Shaz Preston in your countdown, this is the face I would have made. And I know that this is not as impactful for those listening on the podcast, but this is the famous Philip Marshall picture where he was surprised at something Brian Van Gorder said. And what's hilarious is if you took out Philip Marshall's picture here, the picture of Brian Van Gorder alone is pretty funny. He looks like Uncle Rico right there. And then it's hard to top that picture for being funny, but Philip Marshall does it, like the complete surprised look on his face. He is just aghast at something. I don't know what it is, but
I'm assuming for those that enjoy the inside Auburn jokes, perhaps they had signed somebody and had asked Van Gorder, was he at camp? And Van Gorder said yes. They said, how fast did he run the 40? And he said 3.9. And then that was the look on Philip Marshall's face.
That is a very inside Auburn joke. People don't know, but Auburn stopwatches are generally faster. Anyway, that's going to do it for
So Cole Adamas and Jalen Hale, two guys that I don't classify as near certain red shirts, slightly better probable red shirts. I still say probably red shirt, but they did create buzz this spring, so we should be excited about their futures for sure.
I know Jalen Hale had a catch in the spring game, at least one.
He did.
Did Cole Adamas did
and
not?
I believe Hale showed out in some of the scrimmage work too. I mean, he'll make it. He can be totally covered by a quality corner and still make the catch. I mean, that's hard to do, but he seems to have a knack for that.
Wouldn't it be something if Texas born and bred Jalen Milroe threw a touchdown to Texas born and bred Jalen Hale for a touchdown to beat Texas?
As Alabama bred Jalen Mbakwe looks on from the recruit section while Jalen Hurts watches on TV in Philadelphia.
There we go. All right, that's good for today's podcast. We will see you guys tomorrow. Jimmy will have more countdown stuff, and we'll tell you more about bird dogs. By the way, Jimmy, I got my bird dogs merch, and I've worn my shorts like a ton. I love my bird dogs.
Wearing them right now. I would show people, but I'm wearing them right now.
Well, I will take your word for it, Jimmy. That'll do it for today's podcast. We will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, roll tide.
Roll tide.